Well, my favorite green space is actually also the Botanic Gardens because I did many things here. I studied here, I worked here, I even dated here before. So I have a lot of very fond memories. That's also where I started to learn the importance of biodiversity, of the plants and animals, and why they're so important to protect and conserve.
So my favorite place would be Bukit Timah Nature Reserves. So when you walk into Bukit Timah Nature Reserves, right, first of all, it'll be very quiet. And then you feel the humidity, and then you'll be surrounded by very tall trees, and you see the tall dipterocarp trees. These are only found in primary rainforests or very late secondary forests. And then you'll see some woody climbers as well.
I have many fond memories of being in nature. It's very difficult to choose one. I would say probably doing a guided walk at Chestnut Nature Park. And because of the COVID situation, we had to do very small group guiding. My favorite parts of nature is always spreading the wonder to others. So during this walk, I remember it very well because the participants were, one, very enthusiastic, and I could feel their excitement as I was telling them about the plants, about the animals, about the history of the park.
Once we had put our proposals out, and we formally sent it to government, and a few months later they announced that they were going to have a bird reserve. And we had asked for 300 hectares. We were given 90, which was not too bad. You always ask for more than you're going to get. But the difficulty at the beginning was that we talked about a bird reserve which basically was primarily for birds and nature. Government thought of it as another park, and so their idea of success was to get 10,000 people coming there every weekend. That wasn't the idea at all, but it was an educational facility, and if you were going to see what was there, not too many people could go all at once. Eventually, it was all agreed, and Sungai Buloh developed and grew.
I think as in the past, when I was just starting, a lot of the focus was still on the greenery and the plants and the nature reserves. But as the years pass, especially in recent years, a lot more focus has been on protecting these green spaces. So we see more spaces such as buffer parks or nature parks coming up that are quite new, just within the last few years.
The city in nature is an interesting concept because it is the plant life, the bird life, the insect life, even to an extent animal life. You're bringing it all into the city. It's not just a question of putting trees along the side of roads.
I think we've done a very nice and really good job in proving that there is no dichotomy between the two, that a city can exist harmoniously with nature and nature can exist within a city as well. As we live our lives in the city, we don't have a big compromise on our exposure to nature, and we still learn and feel connected to the green spaces around us and also the wild animals that live within these green spaces. So there is this enhanced understanding of the idea of the environment as a system.
These days, right, we do the nature way planting. And in the nature way planting, right, what we do is we'll plant the bottom with ground cover, then there's the tree, then there's the shrub layer, then there's the mid canopy layer. So it sort of mimics a forest structure, The reason being that a structure like that, right, has more species of plants and has more different levels. So different types of birds, right, native birds will actually occupy different parts of these nature ways, and it becomes a very effective connectivity. There's also this talk about connectivity, these ideas about connectivity. For example, our Ecolink, it connects one forest to another. We have rope bridges for animals now, So I think the conservation plans, right, behind this greenery are really much stronger,
I also feel that being in a city in nature, it also identifies us as Singaporeans because it sets a role model for other cities around the world to show that cities, humans can coexist with nature and we can live in harmony.
I think one very easy thing that everyone can do is just to go out, open our eyes more, take in our environment and understand what nature really means. So having this little bit more eco-literacy amongst ourselves, it helps us spread this understanding to our peers, our community, and also to future generations.
It could be just volunteering with any organization that's involved in biodiversity conservation. It can be just planting a tree. The benefits of trees in our city, they help to cool our environment down. It reduces the urban heat island effect. At the same time, they help to reduce flooding in some of our urban areas. And I think most importantly, they also have mental health benefits because whenever I take a walk down a street, surrounded by trees, I feel a lot calmer, and especially after a very stressful day at work.
The reason why we have the 1 million trees movement is so that the public, right, Singaporeans can also participate in city in nature. You wanted to be involved in a conservation project, right? One of the things that you actually do is plant a tree. And not only plant a tree, in the 1 million trees movement, we don't only plant a tree, we actually get rid of invasive species like the Dioscorea weed, We have been working with the community in the last few years to actually get rid of this also. And we've extended this further and we are planning community nurseries also in our parks and our nature areas. We will work with the community to collect some of the seeds from the forest, bring it to the community nursery, let it grow to a certain height where it's ready to be planted out. So people can be involved in taking care of these native species also. So we really urge Singaporeans to take part in this 1 million tree movement.
Well, I've planted many trees in my life, but actually I remember one of my first few tree plantings was with M-Parks actually. And I remember the experience of digging the hole in the ground and bringing the tree into the hole, and I remember how heavy the tree was because I was quite young at the time. And finally when you get to water that tree and knowing that it'll grow up and future generations of Singaporeans to be able to see that tree, it really touches my heart.